This is Hidden Killers Week in Review.
A look back at the most prolific stories of the week.
Every day is just one heartbeat away from a headline. This is Hidden Killers with Tony Brueski, featuring retired FBI Special Agent Jennifer Coffindaffer.
The death of Matthew Perry, it is still being investigated for how this happened. How did Matthew Perry get that amount of ketamine in his system? And why did he get that amount of ketamine in his system? It's now gone to the place where 5 people have been arrested, 2 doctors, his assistant, and also a woman known as the Ketamine Queen has now facing charges for the death of Matthew Perry. Joining me to discuss, Jennifer Coffindaffer, retired FBI Special Agent. This is kind of one of those things where, you know, these sort of deaths do happen all the time. The fact that he's a celebrity certainly gave it some more oomph, I would say, but I don't think it's a bad thing. I think this is something where celebrity can be used for a good thing to raise awareness and to take down people that are abusing the system and abusing others just to make money, and knowing full well that that this is not the solution to his problems. What's your take on all these arrests?
You know, I couldn't agree more. I know a lot of people say, well, this is unfair. Matthew Perry was, a celebrity, and that's the only reason why anyone cares. But to your point, Matthew Perry wasn't the only client of these individuals. I guarantee this is just one client of many, certainly dozens, hundreds, who knows, with the Ketamine Queen, how many clients she had that were being taken advantage of, people like this who were in a true downhill spiral in their addiction. He was getting 6 to 8 shots a day of ketamine and was spending $55,000 a month on ketamine. This is a true a spiral where that person isn't making choices. Their addiction is making the choices, and they're not able to think clearly. And yet his assistant chose to completely take advantage of him. The doctors were joking about it, even calling him a moron, and no one cared. So I am so glad to see these people held to a federal authority, and they're going to serve a lot of time.
Exactly. I mean, I hear the people that are arguing, well, it's a celebrity. Why, they're not going to go after, Joe Blow and the people that... Probably not. I mean, they're overworked, but the fact that we can raise awareness, that's sometimes where celebrity does make sense. And this is a good thing to have happen, that these people were stopped. If you're the Ketamine Queen, I think that kind of implies you have a lot of clients, that you're not just, dealing to Matthew Perry alone. The thing with Matthew Perry is he ended up turning to this medically to help stave off his other addictions that he'd been suffering from, as almost a solution. But with anything, if you go too far with it, it can be very lethal and toxic, which clearly we saw here. How often are we seeing this in society by non-celebrities, where this is going to an extreme, or do we even know?
Oh, I think it happens all the time. In his situation, he was getting these ketamine infusions, if you will, IV treatments at a doctor, but he hadn't been there, I believe, for over 2 weeks. So he was certainly being scheduled, and it was being monitored. Mm-hmm. And so that made a lot of sense, that was a treatment this doctor was using to help with his addiction. The problem was, though, however, he was self-medicating on the side to the nth degree of use. And where we see this and still see it is in the oxycodone, where you're actually getting that sort of treatment for something that's deserved, right? You have an accident, there's pain that the doctor's trying to relieve, the person gets hooked on it, and then now they're buying it illicitly and using huge amounts to treat their pain. So it reminded me of that analogy that's going on in society right now.
I mean, and it's not an opiate, but it's certainly, it's designed to be an anesthetic initially. But there, some people are saying that this is helping with anxiety, with depression, all sorts of things. And I think there's a lot of research that still needs to be done. I talked with several doctors about this earlier in the week. But this is something that is actually not that difficult to get your hands on as well. Even as a recreational drug, you can get it by mail if you want to, and they'll give you the recommended dosage. But that's to say, people who are getting it by mail for recreation are actually going to only take the recommended doses. It's not a recreational drug, or it should not be used as a recreational drug, but it's out there. Does there need to be some more regulation on this? Because right now, you can go to an online clinic just like you would for like ED or something. You can get Viagra. This you can get ketamine as well if you look enough into it.
Yeah, it's seen as an anesthetic. It's a tranquilizer that's used in the veterinarian world as well. So it is easily obtained. And certainly, I think it should be more regulated. K, as it's called, has been around, though, forever, for really decades. I think only now it's becoming like, remember Michael Jackson with propofol?
Yeah.
It reminds me so much of the same sort of reaction, right? A lot of addicts have responded about ketamine that it's actually an odd thing to get hooked to, an odd drug to get hooked on, because it doesn't cause euphoria. It causes you to be tranquilized.
Yeah.
But interestingly enough, I think, to your point, yes, it needs to be more monitored and put up on a higher schedule of drug.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, if you're already in that state of you're in the throes of addiction, or you're trying to get out of addiction, and you're in some form of recovery, and you start taking this, a lot of times you're not in the best spot there mentally. And so being tranquilized is not a bad thing. You want to be asleep. You want to kind of like let the world go by and let yourself heal. But then you find yourself stuck on something else that is taking you away from life as well. And that's just the real sad spiral of this. It may not be an opiate or something, but it can still kill you while you're trying to get through recovery. And an addict is going to be an addict. They're going to take more than they're supposed to, because that's how their brains work.
Well, and I think ketamine is so dangerous because and my understanding is it accelerates your heart rate, but it depresses your respiratory system.
Yeah.
And so, what a lethal combination.
And when you're in a hot tub by yourself.
Yeah. It's just horrible. And then I was thinking too about Matthew Perry sitting in that hot tub, the heat and the relaxation mode you're in when you're in a hot tub, and how you shouldn't even be in a hot tub very long, right?
Yeah.
Depending on the temperature, there's 5 minutes and get out, or, all these warnings, 10 minutes, depending on the heat. And now he's also anesthetized.
Yeah.
It's just terrible. But I really do believe that putting the cuffs on these guys, getting these guys with federal charges, will help others maybe at least not have that source. And as you said, call attention to the problem.
You're in the thick of a true crime saga, every detail sinking in, and then, wham, a commercial about something you couldn't care less about. It's like being served a microwaved dinner at a 5-star restaurant. But it doesn't have to be this way. Go for True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts. With True Crime Today Premium Plus, you get uninterrupted, ad-free episodes, extended interviews that dig even deeper into the muck, and early access so you can brag to your friends. It's like ordering the secret menu at a crime buffet. So, search for True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts, subscribe, and savor every twisted detail without interruption.